Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. We're here to give post-match reaction to England 2, DR Congo 1 as England advance in the World Cup to play Mexico in the Azteca at 1 a.m. Monday morning. It's going to be amazing, but we're going to break down today's World Cup game. I'm Stephen Brown. Joining me is Stephen Downs, Gareth Walker and Chris Bell. Welcome along, gentlemen. If you're watching this live, please do smash a like on the video, get subscribed to the channel, get your comments in. Well, boys, it wasn't easy. It was late, but it was great. England are through. They've made it. A Harry Kane double rescues the win for England. Gaz, I want to come to you first. It wasn't straightforward. It wasn't easy. Never is with England, but your kind of instant reaction to that result today.
I saw it after the game. I think Kane said it was the best performance, and arguably he's probably right. But we're still having the same issues that we've had in probably all three games so far. In respect that the defence looks shaky and the wingers are a problem because they're not doing enough going down the outside and moving the ball quick. That's my initial negative reaction. The positive reaction, obviously, is that in Harry Kane and in Jude Bellingham, as has been proven before, we've got two match winners there. And second half in particular, I thought we dominated. I thought we were the better side mainly after the first hydration break. Up to the first hydration break, I thought we looked really shaky, and obviously Congo got the goal and we didn't react well. But when Tuchel got into them a bit at that hydration break, we were the better side from then on. But like I say, created probably enough chances to win it. Their keepers had a lot of good saves, made a lot of good saves. Probably should have done better with Kane's first one, having made so many good saves. But the issues remain about that defence and the wingers for me, and that's going to be a problem going deeper into the tournament, probably starting against Mexico, to be honest with you, mate.
Yeah, Chris, England make it through. That opening to the game, not what I think anyone expected. Like Gaz has mentioned there, up to that hydration break, it didn't seem like England had quite got into the stride. What did you make of that kind of opening period and Congo's opening goal? Why did it happen?
Yeah, it's like I thought initially first. I mean, I'm talking like the very early stages, first couple of minutes or so. I thought we actually started quite all right. We looked like we were going to go on the attack from the off. That goal, just the mess between Gay and Conser, wasn't it? And initially, you're like, well, at least Jed Spence was there to bail us out, but in him having to come across and right back to try and defend from one man, left the left winger wide open. He had a great game, to be fair, I thought, overall. And yeah, it just knocked the stuffing out of us, didn't it? Up until we've all been critical of these hydration breaks. But between the goal and that first hydration break, we just didn't get at it. It was sloppy. We weren't finding the passes. We weren't creating much. And I've never been so glad to see a hydration break in the entire World Cup, quite frankly. Then after that kind of, it's going to sound terribly American, but that second quarter of the game was excellent. We really kind of reacted well. We had one off the line. Was it the first half when we should have had the penalty shout?
Yeah.
It feels like a long time ago now, and it really wasn't that long ago. We had, the one on the line. We had a couple of great saves from the Congolese keeper. And it's one of those, I said at half-time, on another day, the chances that we have, we end up going probably level or ahead of the break. Certainly, if we get the penalty that I think between us, we certainly feel so, and judging by the pundits and the like on TV, they think so as well. And then, just a big halftime team talk. And again, second half, I thought we dominated the play for the most part. Didn't create a great deal, and again, in that kind of the first half of the second half. But second half, much better. A couple of tactical tweaks. It's what Tuchel's played the big bucks for, and gets us over the line, doesn't it?
Yeah. Steve, obviously, Chris likes to put a positive slant on England. We enjoy that. We need that. We need that positive reinforcement. But how are you feeling about what you've seen tonight?
Yeah, bless Chris. He's like Oliver on Town Talk normally. Like Oliver just sees the positives of it out of everything, even a 3-0 defeat, and that's a bit like Chris.
If I was as negative about England as the rest of you, like Jesus Christ, there'd be no hope for the channel.
Hey, our WhatsApp chat was pretty positive, I thought. I think, listen, the first 23 minutes, Brownie, were an absolute disgrace, to be honest. It was the worst I've seen us play for a long time. Missed passes, ball going out of play. There were no cohesion. The wingers were, I mean, every cross that went in the box was terrible from both Rashford and Madueke. Kane was getting frustrated. Bellingham definitely was getting frustrated, and that showed with the yellow card challenge. As the lads have said, the hydration break definitely helped us. Be interesting to know it'd be interesting to know overall how Tuchel feels about these hydration breaks now, because when he went originally, he was very critical of FIFA allowing these hydration breaks. Probably quite glad now that we had him. But yeah, I thought there was a number of poor performances in the first half. Rashford being one. Kay and Conser were poor at the centre back pairing. I wonder if that will change for the next game with John Stones. We just haven't sorted the right back position at all. I know that Jed Spence did all right tonight, and that's me, giving him some praise. I actually was very critical of him for the Congo goal, but after rewatching it, he did all right. He was probably the side out.
You mean after being corrected by your peers?
No, after watching it and analyzing the goal with my own bad eyesight. I think overall, mate, it was we got through because Tuchel made changes. I think if that had been ex-England managers, I think we'd have been waving the boys on the plane home.
Yeah, indeed. Michael, thanks for your comment. And if you're watching along, if you've not done already, smash a like on the video, get your comments in as well. Michael, why did Tuchel take an injury-prone player in Reece James, who has been in and out of the Chelsea team due to his injuries, when you have the likes of Trent Alexander and Bogle available? I mean, Gaz...
Michael's a Leeds fan, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
There's no England fan on the planet that isn't a Leeds fan. He's mentioning Bogle for an England shirt.
Gaz, I mean, it's much talked about the squad. We kind of saw it tonight. I was watching it, and the way I felt about it was like for 75 minutes, I was kind of really frustrated with Tuchel. I was like, this is your fault. This is, these are the players you selected. This is the system you've got. Blah, blah, blah. But then, as Chris mentioned, he makes the changes that win us the game. But it's almost like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Has he made these problems and then he's fixed his own problems? It's a strange one. I mean, like you mentioned with the wingers and everything like that. And as Michael has said, then the situation with the right back. But I do think that Spence was very good tonight. Probably one of the best players on the pitch. But yeah, it's fascinating, really. I feel like he's almost kind of made errors, but he's rectified it and succeeded somehow. It's a strange one, Gaz.
Yeah, I think Lou mentioned in the chat, didn't he? We were obviously chatting, weren't we, amongst ourselves while the game was going on, about that's what Tuchel's been brought in to do, because he can make these tactical tweaks in games that possibly other managers who we've had before haven't been able to do. The issue for me, there's an issue at right back specifically. I think the thing that gets me the most is that when obviously Reece James, Livramento has to pull out of the squad injured and he calls up Trevor Chalobah, I just think there's better options there. You bring a proper right back in, especially knowing, as we all know, that Reece James himself, although he's a good player and I can understand him being Tuchel's first choice because he had him at Chelsea and we know what a good player he is, we know he's injury prone. So when Livramento has to pull out injured and James is your only right back, you think, well, you've got to bring a right back in, and he calls up Trevor Chalobah, and that's a little bit of a worry for me. I don't know. We all know that there's problems with Trent. We know what he's like. He can be suspect defensively, but he gives you something that other players in that position can't do. And when you're up against a low block, not necessarily tonight, but more so against Ghana and Panama, I think he would have been really beneficial with that ball, because he can put a ball into the box from anywhere. He doesn't need to get to the byline. He doesn't need to get past his marker or his wing back or his fullback, whoever is marking him. He can put a ball in from anywhere, and he can put a quality ball in from anywhere. So I think it would have been beneficial earlier on in the tournament. Not necessarily now, like I say, as we go deeper, because he'll be tested more defensively. Yeah, the wingers, I think he's done. I think the wingers that he's picked are probably fair enough. Like, I can't think of a winger that he could have picked other than your Gordons and your Rashfords and your Maduekas and your Sakas. The problem has been that in the games, they just want to come inside all the time, and you're screaming at the telly, go down the outside. We talked about it, haven't we, a lot amongst ourselves, that everyone knows that to break down a low block, anyone who follows football, you need to move the ball quickly. You need to get it go down the outside. And the number of times Madueke just wants to come back inside, you're just screaming, just get at your foot. And he did it a little bit, didn't he? In the second quarter, he was doing it, and then the second half starts, he starts coming inside again, and you're like, yeah, it's just frustrating. Like I said, the worry for me is defensively. I think the pressure that we're putting on at the top end of the pitch, when other teams aren't sitting deep, Obi Bennett will be more successful. But I really worry about his defensively. I think Wayne Rooney, who I've criticised a lot as a pundit, he's actually coming on a little bit as a pundit, and he made a good point after the game about the gaps in midfield. There's huge open spaces between midfield and defence, and that will be exploited against the better teams. So Tuchel's got his work cut out with that, but he's proven in games that he can make these tactical tweaks. So hopefully he can make the tweaks outside of the games to sort of deal with these problems that the defence are having. Yes, at right back, but more in general as well throughout the whole back line.
That's something though that, to be fair, we've said from before the tournament started. Like, there's a point where we can only say the defence is our weakness so many times before it just becomes repetitive. And we've all said that the defence is the weak part of this squad. The defence and the defenders' selection isn't what it has been in previous years. We're not as strong in depth of quality in defence as we have been in recent years. Factor in players with injury problems that are some of the better ones, and this shouldn't come as a surprise. Still, we're 4 games in, and we all know that we're defensively like a colander. It's all about what we can do going forward. The thing for me is, and I said this on one of our World Cup daily shows every day, check them out, that there's nobody left at home, though, that I think actually improves that defensively anyway, really. Because unless you could wheel in John Terry and Rio Ferdinand from years gone by and give them a bit of Lucasade and get them through 90 minutes, like, you're not going. There's nobody else. There's nobody sitting at home that's not been selected that would improve things, I don't think.
Harry Maguire would.
Not really.
Well, in my opinion, I think he would. I think he would have improved us defensively. Bit of a voice back there, an experienced man that's been at tournaments. I think he would have. He's obviously not going to utilise Dan Burn. I mean, we've not seen him in any game. So for me, he should have taken Maguire. He's a like I said, an experienced voice, but then he's a bit of a target man when it comes to the other end of the field, and he's a threat. And we're not threatening from set pieces from what I see at the moment either. I think personally, what worries me is that Rice looks absolutely knackered. I mean, for me, he does. I mean, how he's running across and taking every free kick and corner, he's wonders to his and a testament to his fitness, because he just looks absolutely knacked. I thought Anderson was not particularly fantastic tonight. It's interesting what you said, Gaz, about the gaps in midfield, and we rely so much on Kane and Bellingham, and you just look at the other top nations, and there has been a bit of a compelling argument to say that we're quite similar to Brazil in a sense, but I think you look at the other sides. I mean, France have been outstanding. Argentina, I won't fancy us against Argentina at the moment, and I'm very fearful of us against Mexico, because I tell you what, they've been bloody good in this World Cup so far. From the performances I've seen, they've really, really took it to any of the opposition that they faced, and they've scored some quality goals with what they've got as well. So it's going to have to be a hell of a better performance against Mexico in Mexico City for us to get through that game.
Yeah, we'll circle back round to that a little bit later on as we preview that game. Chris, I mean, in terms of the side, there's been chopping and changing. We've seen John Stones, we've seen various combinations and that kind of thing. I mean, that always leads you to suspect that maybe the manager doesn't know the exact starting 11 or his best starting 11, or is it just Tuchel being able to kind of improvise and change to different games and different settings, which is what we've always kind of cried out for a little bit, haven't we, as England fans?
Yeah,
a manager who can adjust.
it's horses for courses, isn't it? Like certain players are going to do better in certain games than other players would do, and obviously he dropped Stones, I think, for the Ghana game because of the athleticism and pace that Ghana had on the counter, which is why I think we then saw Conser and Gay come in against Panama. God help me out here. Was it Gay and Conser again?
It was the same, yeah. Stones hasn't been back in.
So we are starting to get that little bit of continuity, I guess, with Conser and Gay. I say you could have fooled me, to be fair, with the way the first goal went in. They were pulled out of position, no end. But ultimately, it's horses for course. We've seen other managers like heavily rotate in certain games, like the final group game. I think France made umpteen changes. Norway made 10 changes in their game. Germany made multiple changes in theirs, and then ended up losing, obviously, to Ecuador. It's what you have a squad of 26 players for, isn't it? To be able to have that rotation and the resting up. The problem is, I think, obviously, Declan Rice is going into this off the back of a very long season with Arsenal, all the way to the Champions League final, and obviously been instrumental. Bukayo Saka clearly isn't anywhere near 100% fit. He looked rusty when he came on. He got better as kind of the longer he was on the pitch, I thought. But it's one of those. It's Tuchel's got his squad. This is why we brought him in, because he was supposedly the better tactician and the man to make in-game changes compared to obviously his predecessor in Sir Gareth. And he's done that today. He's made them changes, I'd say, Rashford and the changing the wingers. And to be fair, I wasn't overly keen when Gordon started, because I've been personally one saying that I prefer Rashford to start the games anyway, because Gordon hasn't impressed me whatsoever. And then to be fair to him today, he makes the change. Gordon comes off the bench, pops it with 2 assists, and ends up being the game-changing player, really. So I thought the masterstroke was putting Rice at right back as well. I thought whilst Jed Spencer had a really good game, the deliveries from Rice in that last 15 minutes or so into the box were very, very good compared to what we'd seen him and how we'd seen him deliver crosses in it and balls into the box from set pieces and like earlier on in the game. So I think that was a little masterstroke, to be fair.
Yeah, indeed. Steve, just in terms of Congo as well, we should mention them. They came and looked dangerous at times. They exploited that space. I mean, Visa, Sipenga especially, Sadiki, decent players. What did you make of them and the troubles they gave England tonight?
Yeah, I think a lot of people came into this game thinking, they're just going to sit back like Ghana and take it. And, I think Tuchel mentioned in his pre-match press conference that he predicted that Ghana would start with 5 at the back. That wasn't the case. They played the four at the back that they have previously played in the group stage in some of the fixtures. I thought they were very good. I thought they were better than what I expected them to be honest. I mean, there are some quality players in that team. I thought Wissa, who has had a bit of a dodgy season at Newcastle, of course, thought he played decent, as you said about the lad on the left. He definitely was one of their shining lights, I thought, apart from the goalkeeper. So they really took it to us, and to be honest, they came with a breadth of creating absolute history for themselves. I mean, they already have, let's be honest. I don't think a lot of people maybe expected them to get out of the group, but if they'd have beaten England tonight, it would have been the greatest story in their nation's footballing history. And if it hadn't been for a certain man that scored 61 goals this season for Bayern Munich, they would have had that historic moment. So I thought they were very good. They created us problems. They were very athletic, very physical. It would be interesting to see how we flip from that type of game and the game before that against Ghana, obviously into the next one, which we're going to talk about. But yeah, I thought they were really good, Brownie, to be honest.
If that Sipenga doesn't get player of the match, there's no justice. To coin a phrase from Mike Bassett.
And this leads us perfectly into our own star man, David. Thanks for your comment, mate. Without Messi, Argentina don't qualify. Be fair, lads, they all rely on their star.
I think he's right.
Well,
I disagree.
Without Messi, Argentina haven't been. Take Messi out of the equation. Argentina haven't been that great.
I think they've been decent, to be honest. But I mean, it's a game of opinions.
Talking about our star man, Gaz, Harry Kane, that man pops up with 2 goals. What have you made of his performance tonight in general in the tournament? I mean, his stats and his goals, it speaks for itself. But what did you make of his performance tonight and the impact he has for this team?
Well, he's crucial, isn't he? As any star man is for any side. I mean, it's him. It's like I mentioned earlier on. Him and Bellingham, the two match winners, aren't they? And with those two in the side, you always have a chance of scoring a goal because they can create you a goal or score you a goal out of nothing, a chance that other players possibly couldn't take. I mean, I do wish that we had a bit more of a star man defensively or in defensive midfield, because it's not necessarily just the defense, but it's the structure of the team out of possession and in transition. And hopefully that, I think there's a comment coming about how we'll face different challenges, in different games. And I would hope that when a team has more of the ball, like we obviously have we've had a lot of the ball in these games that we've played so far, and when the teams have broken on us, that's where we've looked suspect defensively. So I would hope that when a team has more of the ball against us, we can stay in shape and the gaps will be smaller between midfield and defence. But it will also give players like Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham the opportunity to have more space on the break, and hopefully that benefits us in an attacking sense. But as the lads have said, Harry Kane is arguably the greatest England striker that there's ever been, and it's not with light. I don't say that lightly, because obviously we've had some really, really good strikers. I mean, I remember Gary Lineker, absolutely fantastic fox in the box, and I think his record was more than a goal every 2 games for England. And then so we've had your Michael Owens, your Alan Shearers, your Wayne Rooney's. We've had some really, really good strikers just in my time, and that's before you go back to the your Jimmy Greaves of '66 and Roger Hunt and people like that. So Kevin Keegan, but yeah, he's a phenomenon, really. And like I say, he's a match winner. He's somebody that will drop deep. We know that he plays as a little bit of a false nine, and that's why we need players who can run past him. And that's why the emphasis has been on these wingers that have kind of flattered to deceive a little bit and been a bit of a problem so far. He needs players that will run past him, and hopefully they'll do that when they have more space to run into, when teams aren't sitting so deep. We saw a bit of it tonight, as Downsy said, like, the Congo came out to play, and that allowed us to create a little bit more, which hopefully we'll see in the other games with teams that want to play football against us. But yeah, him and Bellingham, like I say, mate, the 2 match winners, and with those 2 in the side, we always have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, Chris will bring up the goal scoring charts now. Harry Kane sat there equal with certain Mr. Erling Haaland there. I mean, phenomenal goals tonight. His second, I mean, he's just pulled that out of thin air. Absolutely fantastic. And really, you're looking for him to kind of lead England going forward. But it feels to me, Chris, like Harry Kane at this tournament. Harry Kane in previous tournaments for England has been very good, but sometimes he looked a bit leggy, a little bit tired, obviously playing in England, so many competitions. And he's almost kind of gone into tournaments looking a little bit kind of, the battery life has been run down. Whereas I feel like this World Cup, he looks energised, sharp, obviously less games in the Bundesliga, less cup competitions. I know they went far in the Champions League, but he's probably still played less games than he has done when he's been at previous tournaments. And to me, he just looks so sharp. And, if England continue to progress, there's every chance he could still get that golden boot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously when you look at that as well, and then the players that he's up against as well, it shows how well he's doing this year particularly. I think there's also a lot to be said from the fact that he's working with a manager that obviously he's worked with before at Bayern Munich in his first season there. He knows that he will always be backed and trusted by Thomas Tuchel, and he's playing like it. He's taking games by the scruff of the neck, and you've also got to factor in as well that there is going to be a thought in his head of how many more World Cups, how many more major tournaments have I got in me, and that was probably playing heavily on his mind at his age. Because what is he now? 33?
Yeah,
33. So realistically, he might have won more Euros, and that'll probably be it. You can't necessarily see him going to another World Cup of 37, can you? So I think he wants to go out personally on as big a high as he can as well. And look, if he's dragging us through games, getting us into the latter stage of this World Cup. I think we'll all welcome that. And if he's doing the business and getting the goal to do so, then so be it. But yeah, you certainly can't underestimate his influence on the squad on the whole as a captain. And obviously, as that man that's, well, say, one of the few men in that squad that would have worked with Tuchel before, to kind of be that point that captain at Tuchel wants him to be as well, in terms of making sure the squad's in a good place as well, harmony-wise.
Yeah. Steve, Harry Kane, is he the best English striker of all time?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's hard though.
It is hard, isn't it?
It's hard. It's hard because the best England striker, you know, people say Rooney. I mean, it's also about memories though. Like, I thought Owen were unbelievable, you know, and Shearer, of course, you know, back to the 90s. And like Gaz says, you know, people would say Gary Lineker was the best England striker of all time.
All about Dries for sale.
But football's different now, though. I know it's a long answer, Brownie, but football is different now. But you know, players play far more games in qualifiers and friendlies and stuff like that to get goals up, you know, than what they did back in the day. So, I mean, he's going to be a legend in football, whatever happens, for club and for country. And he's, you know, if that ends with him, you know, lifting the World Cup for England, we'd all be sat here so happy that he would do that, and I think he probably deserves it, doesn't he? But yeah, it's just so hard to say, mate. It's just I do disagree with him though on his comments that saying that is the best performance so far of the World Cup, because my God, he played in that first 23 minutes and he was part of the shocking performance that happened.
Indeed. Well, England are through to the next round, and it's a mouth-watering prospect. It's Mexico, one of the host nations in the Azteca. They've only ever lost 8 games in the Azteca in, I think, 150 matches. They've not conceded a goal yet at the World Cup. Let's have a little look at some of the fixtures going ahead here, so we can see it there. 1 a.m. kickoff, boys. 1 a.m. Monday morning, which is going to be very interesting indeed. Gaz, your thoughts on this highly anticipated match?
Well, Mexico, on the face of it, all things being equal, and you look at the two squads, we have the better squad and the better players. But when you're playing them at home in the Azteca, like you said, Brownie, where they've got such an amazing record. I think you said they've lost 8 games in 150. I think they've lost 2 in the last 80 or 2 in the last 90. They are a formidable prospect, especially in that stadium with the home crowd behind them. They have looked decent so far. I've been reasonably impressed with them. The games that I've seen, they've looked like a good side. And as we say, with the home crowd behind them and in that stadium, it's a real problem. You've also got the issue that obviously it's high altitude, is that stadium, which creates a problem for players fitness-wise as the game goes on. And Mexico players will be more used to that. I think it's a real test. The advantage that we will have is that they will come out and play, like we've talked about before. They will attack us. They will want to dominate the ball. They will want to have a good go. They're not going to sit deep. Even if they wanted to sit deep, they wouldn't be allowed to do that with the home crowd behind them and in the home stadium. So that gives us a chance, but we are going to be really up against it. I see it as a really tough game, and we're going to have to be better, or considerably better, than we have been so far in the tournament if we want to get through that. It will be a real test. And Mexico, to be honest, mate, there'd be a real test for anybody with that home crowd in their home stadium and at that altitude. We know what bigger test it's going to be, and it remains to be seen, like we've talked about with the fitness of certain players, whether we can get through that. Hopefully we can, because I actually think if we were to come up against the Brazil side in the quarterfinals, I think we've got the beating of them. I do. I think looking at their squad and our squad, I know they've got Vinicius Jr., but that midfield that they've got, you know, with Fabinho and Casemiro, there's no legs in there, and I think we can get at Brazil if we get through it. But Mexico will be a huge test. I worry about us, but if we play to our best, we've got every chance of winning that game. If we play to our best, the problem is that we haven't done that so far in the tournament, and we will certainly need to do that in the early hours of Monday morning.
Yeah, Chris, how do you feel about that one then? Monday morning, Mexico, Azteca.
Yeah, I can't lie. That defensive aspect is obviously the main concern. It's going to be an amazing occasion for those players. It's just going to be, I guess, a little bit of a mental battle to kind of focus on things, not get overawed by the occasion. Look, it's weird. I said in our group chat earlier that I kind of feel like it's going to be a bigger occasion possibly than some games that we've played in finals, in the Euros and the like in years gone by, and when we've reached semi-final stages, simply because you've got to go to Mexico, you've got to go to the Azteca. I think, as you said, it's 8 defeats in 150 odd. I think it's 2 defeats in the last 80 or something. It's a ridiculous statistic for Mexico on their own patch. And they've just got to stay focused, stay calm, not get overawed by the occasion, not let the intimidation of probably 70,000 Mexicans kind of get at them and see what they can do. And look, if we can get past that, then I do think we'll have a chance against anyone, whether that's Brazil or Norway in the quarters, if we have to get there. And I kind of agree with Gaz. I think there's certainly signs that if it's Brazil, that we could get at them. Similarly, for Norway, if we can keep Haaland quiet, and don't get around, Gay and Konsa have to do a downside better than they did tonight against Haaland. But if we can keep him quiet, there's weaknesses in that Norwegian side defensively that we could get at. So, yeah, I think it's obviously it's a mammoth task, isn't it? It wouldn't be so bad if it was playing Mexico in this World Cup, but somewhere else.
Yeah.
But having to play them at the Azteca is the daunting thing.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Steve, the altitude alone, this impacts athletic performance. I mean, it's so many different factors that England are now going to have to deal with.
Yeah, I'm just glad that we didn't go to extra time tonight, because that would have made things 10 times worse, to be honest. I think I don't really have a lot more to add than what Gaz and Chris have said, really. I think, Gaz was spot on and Chris in as well. It's a hell of a fixture to take on Mexico in that altitude at the Azteca. It's the crowd there is going to be, it's not going to be a nice crowd. It's going to be a hostile crowd towards us. It's going to be full of Mexicans, cheering on their country in their backyard. And we're just going to have to play so much better than what we did tonight to have any chance, because, I've been really impressed with them in the group stage. And obviously the last fixture that they played to get through, against Ecuador. And yeah, they've got quality. They've got a lot more quality than the sides that we've faced. They're athletic. They've got good set piece takers. But bring it on. If we want to win the World Cup, we got to beat the best. And if we get through against Mexico, we may have to play Brazil. And then if we go against Brazil, we may have to play Argentina. And you know what? We might end up with France in the final. And like we've all said for the last 8 years under Gareth, he's had easy fixtures. He's got easy fixtures. Tuchel's not going to get easy fixtures. So if you want to win the World Cup, you've got to go beat Mexico in the backyard. You've got to go beat these sorts of teams.
Does seem a little bit harsh, that, doesn't it? That people always beat Southgate with the stick of it's easy fixtures, but you can only play what's in front of you. And then Tuchel's been handed probably the hardest looking knockout route possible in the grand scheme of things. The positive, I mean, Monday morning is going to be very interesting for people that have to get up early and work, isn't it? It's one of those where if England do pull it off, you'll be bouncing off the ceiling at 3 a.m. on a Monday morning and not wanting to go to bed. If England end up losing it at 3 a.m. on a Monday morning, you can just go and cry yourself to sleep and get yourself a good bit of kit before you have to get up for work.
Well, what is the plan with everyone? What are we doing for that 1 a.m.? Do we stay up? I personally,
everyone going to Jay's house, surely. Went for the Panama game.
We've got a FIFA tournament to finish. Yeah,
I'll watch the 9-minute highlights when I get up for work in the morning. I think
you are joking.
No,
you are absolutely
I don't believe that.
Leave the
Joking.
suspense.
I'm
Leave
going
the
to drive to
suspense.
Wakefield and just sit in the car with the radio on and just beat my horn just to wake you up if you're going to do that.
All right. Well,
Watch along.
Yeah, what's on? That'll keep us up at least.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Guys, what have you done?
That's
What
not a
have you
terrible
done?
idea.
Can of worms. We could do a post match at what would it be? 3 a.m. 3:30 in the morning. Yeah,
Jesus.
which would be interesting. I think I need to go book some annual leave at work immediately. If we're thinking of that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple of hours, I think, and then get up for it, and then straight back to bed. But
What's on before it is the big question as well.
Coronation Street. Reruns on BBC of EastEnders.
So let's have.
We've got Brazil, Norway at 9:00.
Brazil. Oh, see, that's
and that'll take you through to 11.
Sleep a couple of hours, bank a couple of hours, and then
yeah.
What time of the other game? If we get through, what time are the other games? I mean, there is one. I think one quarter final is 2 a.m.
If we got through, our game will be at 10:00 on Saturday, the 11th of July.
Right, perfect. Okay.
So that would work out really well, time-wise at least.
Yeah.
And again, would be a perfect one to get together somewhere.
Yeah.
I call shotgun my house.
Just before we finish up, then let's do the horrible thing. Let's get some predictions. Gaz, Mexico versus England in the Azteca.
Oh no!
What is going to happen?
Even I'm against predictions here because the thing is, so much can happen between now.
Let Gaz answer.
Let Gaz answer.
Let Gaz answer. He's got to give a prediction.
Well, I'm helping Gaz out here by delaying this because Gaz hates doing predictions at the best of time. So the more I delay things, the more he's got time to think of a way out of it.
I don't actually, as Chris says, I don't do predictions normally, and every time I do them wrong. So that's why I don't. Because if I was good at them, I'd put a bet on and I'd win some money. So I can't see us winning it, but that's negative Gaz there. I just can't see us. I think there's too much against us in that environment, like we say, Mexico's home ground, home city, altitude, etc., etc. I'd be delighted as anybody if we do, but I just don't see it, Brownie, to be honest with you. And it's a shame because, as a few of us have said on here, I think if we could get through it, I think we'd have a good chance against Brazil or Norway. But it's just Mexico anywhere else. Yeah, Mexico there is a big problem for me.
Yeah, indeed. Chris, your prediction?
I will refuse to make a prediction, but I will say I'm keeping the faith. I'm going to keep the faith. And look, I just think back to like 2 years ago, and were we doing this 4 years ago? I can't remember, but certainly 2 years ago when the rest of you were all like, "Oh, these performances are terrible. We're never going to get anywhere by these performances." And lo and behold, we made it to a final at least, and only one thing better than that.
We were terrible in.
Hey, we made it though. You'd rather make it than not make it to a final. So yeah, I'm going to keep the faith and hope for the best.
Yeah, Steve, predictions, Mexico.
Brown Ale, make it simple for you, so you don't have two people sitting on the fence. 3-1 Mexico, mate.
Oh, for God's sake!
We should say Lou has also commented big changes are needed for us to go further, stating the obvious, but we have to start games much better. If we don't versus Mexico, we lose. I have a lot of thoughts about today's performance.
Thankfully, he hasn't been on to share them.
I know. We're going to have to, Lou. You're going to have to get a video out, Lou. You're going to have to do it. Imitate those thoughts. Good stuff. Right, we will leave it there. Thank you so much to everyone who's commented. If you've not done so already, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Chris, when are you back with the next World Cup video, mate?
Some point tomorrow. I need to bully one of you into coming and joining me on the show. That is, to be fair, because I've not actually confirmed who's coming on the show with me. But yeah, some point probably between 10 and 2. Like and subscribe to the channel, and you'll get a notification to tell you when I'm going live.
Superb. Excellent. Well, we will see you again very soon. I've been Stephen Brown. With me has been Gareth Walker, Chris Bell, and Stephen Downs. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Cheers.
And we'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Good night.